Ladies and gentlemen, Benjamin Starr.
Thank you. All right, we can kick it off. To be honest with you guys, I had a whole different presentation plan as Ben talked about, but you know, in the 13th hour, I decided to change it up a little bit. I wanted to do something a little more authentic, a little more genuine, and something worthy of this moment right now. So I reached out to a good friend of mine, a great friend who's also a dynamic young creative, and I asked him to be able to use his illustrations as the backdrop to my presentation. And so as you open your minds to receive what I'm saying, I want you to just let his imagery kind of wash over you, because less than a teacher, we're artists, so we're blessed with the gift of being able to convey our experiences to people, to make you feel a little bit. And while you're letting that wash over you, I want you to think about a question. Do you really want this? And by this, I mean, do you really want a Charleston for black people? Do you want a Charleston for black people, for black men, for black women? By that, I mean, do you want accessibility to efficient transportation? Do you want accessibility to adequate education for black people? Do you want economic opportunity for black people? Do you want black people to feel welcome downtown? Is that something that you want? Do you want black people downtown? When you think about that, and I think about my friend who allowed me to use these illustrations, one thing we do have in common is that we're both young black men, black creatives in Charleston, and that experience goes a long way. I understand that this city is still permeating with the spirit of Septima Clark and Esau Jenkins and the systems that they rally against and the people that they work to empower. So when we talk about Charleston, we have to talk about it honestly. We have to talk about the beautiful things here. We have to talk about the culture, the culinary innovations, and the spirit that people who look like me spent centuries pouring into the city. But then we also have to talk about some true things. Also, some more true things about Charleston. The fact that Charleston was once this country's capital, the slave capital of the United States. At least 40% of all enslaved Africans came through this port. We have to talk about Charleston as a city rife with segregation that even manifests itself today in the form of social segregation, racial, economic segregation, lack of affordable housing. We have to talk about Charleston in a way in which we can say, honestly, today, it is the home to 20 of the poorest schools in the Tri-County area, 15 of which are predominantly black, simultaneously being home to 11 of 13 of the wealthiest schools, most of which are predominantly white. We have to talk about Charleston in a way where the leading publication in Charleston still actively litigates the causes of the Civil War. We have to talk about Charleston in a way where it is sprinkled with the vestiges and the monuments by the Daughters of the Confederacy honoring treasonous soldiers, racist soldiers, white supremacists. This is the Charleston that we have right now. So I have to ask you, as a black artist here in Charleston, and I've been blessed to, in the last couple of years, perform on many stages, including this stage right here. But it's interestingly enough that I had to be exceptional every time I stepped on any stage, because I wasn't just thinking about me and my ability to perform on that stage again, but also thinking about other artists who are also hip-hop, that culture, that music, that generation, who if I bombed one time, they would never even get a chance to perform there. Many of these same venues that closed their doors on me until I became the front man of a 5-piece band consisting of some of my closest friends and what have become family, but 3 of whom are white. So I ask you, is this what you want? And when I say, is this what you want? Do you want a Charleston for black people? Do you want a Charleston for black men, black women, black children? Because if you do, don't underestimate the power that lies in your answer. Because in America, white people get what they want when they want it. And what I mean by that is the power of white political will. White political will is never halted by the how. White political will is often the answer to the how. White political will doesn't ask, it decides. White political will, the collective effort, energy, and decision-making of collective white people in America. It decides, it doesn't ask. It decided to put a man on the moon before it knew how it would put a man on the moon, and white political will put a man on the moon. White political will landed on Plymouth Rock and decided to forge this country of complex laws and systems before it knew how to put together a constitution. That's what white political will did. White political will turned a nation built on the back of chattel slavery into a beacon of freedom around the world. White political will turned around and made the capital, what was previously the slave capital of that slave nation, a top tourist attraction in America. This sort of Confederate Disneyland that pulls everybody in, that simultaneously contributes to and upholds a system of social and economic segregation, and also gentrifies neighborhoods at a rapid rate, and also seizes the property of many black people through eminent domain. How could it do that? How could it be that creative? We don't know. White political will doesn't ask, it decides and then it figures it out. I wish it would be that creative when it came to freedom and equality for all people. So again, I ask you, is this what you want? Do you want a Charleston for black men? Do you want a Charleston for black children? Do you want a Charleston for black women who are much, even as diverse as this lineup was? There were no black women here tonight. So I'm asking you, everyone in the room, I wanted to come here and be able to look at everyone here in Charleston, the well-meaning and the goodwill and the people who feel like, I want to make a change. I want to tell you, black people and non-black people of color are very disillusioned with the belief that white political will do any of this, that the white political will do any of this. But it wouldn't hurt for y'all to prove us wrong. You're welcome.